The vast command center of the Graxian Defense Station buzzed with activity. Screens flickered with data as officers moved with purpose between workstations. At the center stood Admiral Tarek, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow of the main display. "Unknown vessel detected at the outer boundary," announced Senior Analyst Nex, her forearms working swiftly across her console. "Single ship, unfamiliar design." Admiral Tarek frowned. A single ship? No species in recorded history had initiated first contact with just one vessel. It was either a grave insult or profound foolishness. "Tactical assessment," he ordered. "The ship is small by our standards," replied Nex. "Appears to be an exploration vessel. Minimal weapons detected, but unusual energy readings we cannot identify." Tarek's secondary eyes narrowed. "Prepare the defense fleet. Deploy containment pattern 6. Within minutes, 6 Graxian warships moved into position, their sleek hulls gleaming against the darkness of space. They formed a perfect hexagon around the lone intruder. Aboard the HSS Pathfinder, Captain Sun Woo Kim stood calmly on the bridge. The human vessel was a marvel of efficiency, with a crew of only 30 specialists representing Earth's finest minds. "They're surrounding us, Captain," said Lieutenant Jaiwoo Park from the tactical station. His fingers moved across the holographic controls with practiced ease. Captain Kim nodded. "As expected. Maintain passive scans only." Engineer Do Hyun Khan looked up from his station. "Their technology is fascinating. They use crystalline computing we've never seen before." "Open communications," ordered Kim. Standard diplomatic greeting. Communications Officer Hyun Lee nodded. "Channel open, Captain." Captain Kim squared her shoulders. "This is Captain Sun Woo Kim of the human science ship Pathfinder, representing Earth and the United Nations Space Authority. We come in peace seeking friendship and knowledge exchange." A tense minute passed before the main screen flickered to life. Admiral Tarek's alien face appeared, insectoid features with multiple eyes and mandibles that clicked when he spoke. "I am Admiral Tarek of the Graxian Hegemony. Your presence in our space is unexpected." His voice translated through the ship's systems. "Where is the rest of your fleet?" Kim smiled diplomatically. "There is no fleet, Admiral. Earth sends single ships for first contact to demonstrate peaceful intentions." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of disbelief the humans couldn't yet recognize. No civilized species approaches new territories without proper force. "Are you scouts for an invasion? Or perhaps bait to draw us out?" "Neither, Admiral," Kim replied calmly. "Humans believe relationships begin with conversation, not displays of military might." Tarek conferred with his officers off-screen, their urgent chittering audible in the background. "Your approach is unprecedented," he finally said. "We will need to verify your claims. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Lieutenant Park tensed. "Captain, they're launching boarding shuttles." "No defensive measures," Kim ordered. "Security teams to airlocks with non-lethal equipment only. Remember everyone, this is diplomacy." On the Graxian command ship, Nex approached Admiral Tarek privately. "Sir, this doesn't match any known contact protocol. One ship against our entire defense force? Either they're hiding something significant, or what?" Tarek demanded. "Or their technology far exceeds our intelligence estimates," she finished quietly. The boarding shuttles docked with the Pathfinder. Graxian soldiers in armored suits entered cautiously, weapons ready. They expected resistance but found only a small welcoming party led by Security Chief Min-jae Choi. "Welcome aboard," Min-jae said, hands open in the universal gesture of peace. "We're happy to show you our ship." The Graxian squad leader hesitated, confused by the lack of resistance. "You will submit to full inspection." "Of course," Min-jae agreed. "Though I suggest we start with our botanical lab. We've brought plant specimens that might interest your scientists." As the inspection began, the Graxians were increasingly baffled. The humans showed no fear, hiding nothing. Their technology was elegant and efficient in ways the Graxians had never considered.
Back on the bridge, Captain Kim received an update.
The boarding team seems confused by our cooperation, reported Hyun.
Good, Kim nodded. Confusion leads to questions. Questions lead to understanding. Admiral Tarek watched the inspection feeds with growing unease.
This single human ship had confidently entered Graxian space, faced down their fleet, and now welcomed armed inspectors as if they were honored guests. Either these humans were fools, or they possessed something that made them unafraid, something the Graxians had yet to discover. For the first time in his long career, Tarek felt uncertainty creep into his thoughts. The aliens had waited for a fleet. But one human ship was proving far more challenging than he could have imagined. Do-Hyun Khan moved carefully through the engineering section of the Pathfinder, aware of the 4 Graxian inspectors following close behind. Their chitinous bodies seemed tense, mandibles clicking as they scanned every piece of equipment. "This is our primary power core," Do-Hyun explained, gesturing to the glowing cylinder at the center of the room. "It uses controlled fusion to generate energy for all ship systems." The lead Graxian inspector, Officer Zeal, approached the core with scanning equipment. His compound eyes reflected the blue light as he studied the readings. "Impossible," he muttered. "Your power output exceeds our calculations by 300%. Do-Hyun smiled politely. "We've made significant improvements to efficiency in recent years." On the bridge, Captain Kim watched the inspection teams through the ship's monitoring system. Lieutenant Park approached with a concerned expression. "Captain, the Graxian command vessel is powering up additional weapons systems," he reported quietly.
Kim frowned. "Have they found something that disturbed them?" "Unknown. But their fleet is tightening formation around us." Admiral Tarek studied the reports coming in from the inspection teams.
Each new piece of information about the human vessel made him more uneasy. Their technology was different, not just in design but in fundamental approach. "The humans integrate their systems in ways we never considered," Nex explained, displaying comparative schematics. "Where we build specialized systems, they create adaptable ones."
Tarek clicked his mandibles nervously. "This single ship carries technology that could threaten our entire fleet.
Why would they reveal this to us so freely unless
there's something else hidden," completed his second-in-command. Tarek made his decision.
"Order our inspectors to access their central computer.
We need to know their true capabilities." Back on the Pathfinder, Officer Zeal suddenly changed direction. "Take us to your central computer core," he demanded of Do-Hyun. The engineer hesitated. "That wasn't on the agreed inspection route." "This is not a request," Zeal interrupted, his soldiers moving their weapons to ready positions. Do-Hyun touched his communicator.
"Bridge, we have a situation." Captain Kim received the alert and immediately contacted the Graxian command ship.
"Admiral Tarek, your inspection team is deviating from protocol."
"We agreed to open access, but your officers are now making demands at weapon point."
Tarek's image appeared on screen. "Your cooperation means nothing if you hide your true capabilities, human."
"No species reveals their strengths so willingly unless it's a deception." "There is no deception," Kim insisted.
"We believe in transparency as the foundation of peaceful relations."
"Then you will allow immediate access to your central computer systems," Tarek demanded. As they spoke, one of the Graxian vessels maneuvered closer to the Pathfinder, its weapons ports opening in a clear threat.
Lieutenant Park noticed immediately.
"Captain, Graxian destroyer at 300 meters and charging weapons." The situation was deteriorating rapidly. In engineering, the Graxian inspectors had grown more aggressive, forcing Do-Hyun and his team against a wall.
"Take us to your computer core now," Zeal demanded. Captain Kim made a quick decision. "Lieutenant Park, activate Defensive Protocol 3.
Hyun, open a fleet-wide channel to all Graxian vessels."
The Pathfinder's exterior suddenly shimmered as a previously hidden defense system activated.
A translucent energy field expanded outward, gently but firmly pushing the nearest Graxian ship back to a safe distance. Simultaneously, every communication device carried by the Graxian inspection teams emitted a soft tone before deactivating.
"What have you done?" Officer Zeal demanded, his communicator now useless.
"A safety precaution," Do-Hyen explained calmly.
"Your weapons and communications are temporarily disabled. No one is harmed."
On the bridge, Captain Kim addressed the Graxian fleet.
"Admiral Tarek, we've activated non-lethal defensive measures.
Your boarding teams are safe but contained. We did not come here to fight, but we will protect ourselves."
Tarek was furious.
"You claim peace while demonstrating hidden weapons." "Not weapons," Kim corrected.
"Defenses. There's an important difference."
The standoff intensified as the Graxian fleet tightened formation, their weapons fully charged. Inside the Pathfinder, the inspection teams found themselves unable to proceed deeper into the ship or communicate with their fleet. The situation balanced on a knife's edge when a warning alarm sounded on the Graxian command vessel.
"Admiral." Nex called urgently.
"Destroyer 6 is reporting critical power fluctuations in their main reactor."
Tarek watched in horror as one of his ships began drifting, its lights flickering.
The reactor malfunction threatened not just the ship but could potentially damage others nearby if it exploded. Captain Kim saw the situation developing on her sensors. What happened next would determine whether first contact ended in understanding or war.
She had seconds to decide how to respond to the Graxians' sudden vulnerability.
The human ship had revealed its defensive capabilities. The Graxians had shown their suspicion and aggression. And now, an unforeseen crisis threatened to push both sides beyond diplomacy into open conflict. Captain Kim watched the failing Graxian ship on her main screen.
The vessel's lights flickered as its engine core glowed with dangerous instability.
"Do-Hyen, analysis?" she asked, her voice steady despite the crisis. The engineer studied his readings carefully. "Their reactor is approaching critical failure.
Explosion likely within 5 minutes." Lieutenant Park's fingers hovered over the defensive controls. "Captain, we should maintain safe distance. If that ship blows."
"No," Kim decided firmly.
"Jaiwo, move us closer to the damaged vessel."
"Do-Hyen, prepare to extend our containment field." The bridge crew exchanged surprised glances, but followed orders without question.
The Pathfinder broke formation, moving swiftly toward the failing Graxian destroyer. Admiral Tarek watched with confusion as the human ship approached his stricken vessel. "What are they doing?" he demanded.
"Prepare to fire if they make any aggressive move." Nex studied her readings with widening eyes. "Admiral, they're extending some kind of energy field around Destroyer 6. The Pathfinder positioned itself alongside the Graxian ship. A soft blue glow extended from the human vessel, enveloping the failing destroyer. Immediately, the dangerous energy fluctuations began to stabilize.
"Captain," Do-Hyen reported, "I've analyzed their reactor design. It's crystalline-based, different from ours, but I understand the principles. With your permission, I'd like to send them a stabilization protocol." Kim nodded. "Do it."
On the Graxian command ship, confusion reigned.
Reports flooded in that the human vessel was somehow containing their reactor failure. "They're transmitting technical data," an officer reported. "Engineering specifications for an emergency core shutdown." Tarek hesitated. Could this be a trick?
Yet his ship was minutes from destruction.
"Implement their protocol," he ordered reluctantly. As the Graxian engineers followed the human instructions, the reactor's dangerous glow faded. The crisis passed, leaving everyone in stunned silence. Captain Kim opened a channel.
"Admiral Tarek, your vessel is stable now, but we recommend a full shutdown of its main power systems for proper repairs."
Tarek's mandibles clicked slowly. "You saved my ship." "Why?"
"Because that's who we are," Kim replied simply.
"We came to make friends, not enemies."
The tension in space shifted. The Graxian weapons remained aimed at the Pathfinder, but a new uncertainty had entered the standoff. Inside the human vessel, the Graxian inspection teams witnessed the rescue operation through the ship's internal displays.
Officer Zeal watched silently as the humans worked together with remarkable speed and adaptability.
"You could have let our ship be destroyed," he said to Dohayan. "It would have weakened our position."
Dohayan looked surprised. "Why would we want that? A loss of life is never beneficial." This concept seemed to puzzle the Graxian deeply.
On the bridge, Lieutenant Park alerted the captain to a new development. "The Graxian fleet is pulling back, increasing their distance from us." "They're reassessing," Kim nodded.
"Good. Now let's show them something else." She turned to Communications Officer Hyun.
"Prepare a data package. Include our cultural database, scientific achievements, and exploration history. Nothing classified, but enough to show them who humans really are."
Admiral Tarek received the transmission with suspicion. This could contain infiltration programs, he warned as his technicians examined it.
"It doesn't," Nex reported after careful scanning.
"It appears to be cultural and scientific information.
Vast amounts of it, freely given."
Tarek began reviewing the human data. He saw thousands of years of history, art, science, and philosophy.
He saw a species that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times yet always found a path forward. Most surprisingly, he saw a civilization that valued individual innovation above conformity, a concept alien to Graxian culture. "They solve problems differently than we do," he realized aloud. "Where we build specialized systems for every task, they create adaptable ones that can be modified quickly. That's why they sent one ship," Nex suggested.
"It's not arrogance. Their technology allows a single vessel to fulfill multiple roles."
On the Pathfinder, Captain Kim met with the Graxian inspection team in the ship's conference room. The atmosphere remained tense, but the open hostility had faded.
"Your reactor technology is unlike anything in our records," Officer Zeal admitted. "How did your engineer understand our systems so quickly?"
"Dohayan specializes in adaptive problem solving," Kim explained. "All our crew members are trained to think creatively and integrate new knowledge rapidly."
Zeal's compound eye studied her carefully. "Is this why you humans travel alone? Because each of you can adapt to unexpected situations?" Kim smiled. "Partly.
We believe small, versatile teams often succeed where large, rigid ones fail.
Quality over quantity."
The conversation continued as the Graxians began to understand the human advantage. It wasn't superior weaponry or overwhelming numbers. It was flexibility, creativity, and a willingness to take risks that no Graxian would consider reasonable. As the inspection team prepared to return to their ship, Officer Zeal paused before Captain Kim.
"We misjudged you," he admitted. "One human ship is indeed more interesting than an entire fleet would have been." Admiral Tarek stood motionless before the large viewport of his command vessel.
His forearms were clasped behind his back as he watched the human ship floating peacefully amid his fleet. The rescue of Destroyer 6 had changed everything.
"Admiral, the Council demands an update," announced Nex, approaching carefully.
She had served with Tarek for many cycles and knew when he was deep in thought. "Tell him the situation is complex," he replied without turning.
"They specifically asked about your containment strategy for the human vessel."
Tarek's mandibles clicked in frustration.
"There can be no containment of something we don't understand. These humans operate by different rules."
On the Pathfinder, Captain Kim met with her senior officers. The mood was cautiously optimistic after the successful rescue operation. "The inspection teams have returned to their ships," reported Security Chief Min Jae.
"They left without incident."
"The Graxian fleet has pulled back to a defensive position," added Lieutenant Jaiwoo. "They're watching us, but weapon systems are in standby mode."
Kim nodded. "Progress.
Now we need to build on this momentum."
Communications Officer Hyun looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's not from the flagship. It's coming from a smaller vessel on the fleet's perimeter." "Put it through," Kim ordered. The screen activated to show a younger Graxian officer. Unlike Admiral Tarek's hard, weathered carapace, this one's exoskeleton still had the greenish tint of youth.
Human vessel, I am Junior Science Officer Relan of the Graxian research ship Seeklight.
I wish to talk.
Captain Kim exchanged glances with her officers before responding.
This is Captain Kim. We welcome conversation, Officer Relan.
The young Graxian seemed nervous.
My transmission is not authorized. Your rescue of Destroyer 6 has created much discussion among our junior ranks.
Your technical solution was elegant.
I have questions about human engineering approaches. Kim smiled.
I'd be happy to have our chief engineer speak with you.
No.
Relan's mandibles clicked rapidly.
Direct communication between ships is monitored. But there is another way.
Our analyzers detected that your ship uses quantum communications. We have similar technology for secure research transmissions.
Do-Hyen's eyebrows rose. They have quantum entanglement communicators? That's unexpected. Kim considered the implications. A back channel could be valuable. Set it up, but nothing classified. Within an hour, an unofficial dialogue began between the human engineers and curious Graxian scientists.
Information flowed through secure quantum channels, bypassing the official military communications. On the Graxian command ship, Admiral Tarek received a summons from the High Council. The 9-member ruling body appeared as holographic projections in his private chamber. Explain your failure to neutralize the human threat, demanded Counselor Vax, the eldest member.
Tarek stood firm. I question whether they are a threat at all. Their actions have been consistently peaceful despite our provocations. A single ship entered our territory without permission, another counselor protested.
Yes, Tarek agreed.
One ship. Not a fleet.
One ship that saved our destroyer when it could have allowed it to be destroyed. One ship that shared cultural and scientific knowledge freely. The counselors murmured among themselves. This was not the hardline response they expected from their military commander.
What if this is merely their strategy? To appear peaceful until their main force arrives, asked Counselor Vax.
Then they are playing a game so complex I cannot fathom its purpose, Tarek replied.
My instincts tell me their intentions are genuine.
As the council debated, the unofficial exchange of information spread through the Graxian fleet. Junior officers and specialists traded data with their human counterparts, fascinated by their different approaches to similar problems.
Captain Kim received regular updates on this growing dialogue.
It's working, she told her officers. The younger Graxians are naturally curious. They're bypassing the military chain of command to learn from us. And we're learning from them, added Do-Hyen excitedly. Their crystalline computing technology is fascinating. Different from our approach but equally valid. The situation shifted subtly but significantly over the next 12 hours. The rigid formation of the Graxian fleet relaxed. Unofficial communications flourished. The humans shared their music, art, and scientific theories while receiving Graxian cultural materials in return. Admiral Tarek noticed the change in his crew. There was less fear, more curiosity. Reports mentioned humans by name rather than as the aliens. Even his most cautious officers were beginning to speak of possibilities rather than threats. When Officer Relan finally approached him directly, Tarek was not surprised. Admiral, I wish to report unauthorized communications with the human vessel, the young scientist admitted nervously.
How many officers are involved? Tarek asked calmly.
At least 60 across the fleet, sir.
Tarek nodded slowly. And what have you learned from these humans?
That there are many ways to solve a problem, Relan replied.
That adaptation can be more powerful than specialization.
That one ship with the right crew can indeed be enough.
Admiral Tarek gazed out at the Pathfinder again.
The small human vessel had accomplished what no military force could have. It had changed minds without firing a single shot. Perhaps, he said quietly, it is time we invited Captain Kim to speak directly with the Council. The Grand Council chamber of the Graxian hegemony gleamed with polished crystal and living metal.
9 elevated seats formed a semicircle where the councillors perched, their compound eyes watching the small human delegation with intense curiosity.
Captain Sun Woo Kim stood calmly in the center of the chamber. She wore her formal blue uniform with minimal decorations. Beside her stood Communications Officer Hyun Lee and Chief Engineer Do Hyun Kong.
They were the first humans ever to set foot on the Graxian homeworld.
"Welcome to Grax Prime," announced Counselor Vax, the eldest member whose carapace had faded to pale blue with age.
"Your presence here is unprecedented."
"Thank you for the invitation," Kim replied with a respectful bow.
"We are honored to be your guests." Admiral Tarak watched from a position near the wall.
The events of the past 3 days had transformed him. He had begun as the humans' greatest opponent and now found himself quietly supporting their cause. "We have reviewed the reports of your encounter with our defense fleet," Vax continued.
"Many questions remain.
Why does your species choose to explore with single vessels rather than proper fleets?"
Kim smiled.
"It is a philosophical difference. We believe that true understanding comes from deep, meaningful contact, not displays of force. One ship with the right crew can learn more than 100 ships focusing on security." The council members clicked their mandibles in the Graxian expression of skepticism.
"This defies all logical protocols," objected a younger counselor. "First contact always carries risk. Your approach seems dangerously naive."
"With respect," Kim replied, "it has brought us here today, speaking peacefully in your council chamber.
Our approach created confusion, yes, but that confusion led to curiosity rather than conflict."
Do Hyun stepped forward at Kim's nod.
"We've analyzed your technological approach during our brief contact.
The Graxian hegemony excels at specialized systems, perfectly designed tools for specific purposes.
Humans prefer adaptable, integrated systems that can be reconfigured quickly. Neither approach is superior," he continued. "They are complementary. What your specialists take years to perfect, we might devise roughly in days. But what we create through quick adaptation often lacks the elegant efficiency your experts achieve." The chamber fell silent as the counselors considered this perspective.
Junior Officer Relan had been invited to attend the historic meeting. Standing near Admiral Tarak, he whispered, "This explains why their single ship could respond to so many different challenges."
Tarak nodded. "Their entire approach to civilization may be different from ours."
"Not better or worse, just different."
Counselor Vax leaned forward. "Captain Kim, if we agree to formal relations with humanity, what do you propose?"
"A cultural and scientific exchange to start," Kim replied. "Small steps. Perhaps a joint research station in neutral space where our people can work together and learn from each other." "And your military intentions?" demanded another counselor. "We have none," Kim stated simply. "Earth has learned through bitter experience that conquest brings nothing of value.
We explore to learn, not to dominate."
The council called for a brief recess to deliberate in private. As the humans waited in an adjoining chamber, Admiral Tarak approached them. "You have changed much in our society in a very short time," he said, mandibles clicking softly. "Some find this disturbing." "Change is often uncomfortable," Kim acknowledged.
"But it can also be valuable."
Tarak studied her with all 4 of his eyes.
"The young officers who spoke with your crew, they think differently now.
They ask questions that have no place in our military structure."
"Is this what you intended?" Kim smiled.
"Cultural exchange works both ways, Admiral. Your people have affected my crew as well. Our engineer hasn't slept in days, fascinated by your crystalline computing methods."
Do Hyun nodded enthusiastically. "Your approach to quantum mechanics challenges our fundamental theories. It's amazing." The Admiral's rigid posture softened slightly.
"Perhaps there is value in unexpected perspectives." When the council reconvened, Counselor Vax announced their decision.
"The Graxian hegemony accepts your proposal for a joint research outpost. We will establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth." Celebrations were subdued but sincere.
As the formal proceedings concluded, Kim found herself standing with Tarak and Relan in the grand viewing gallery overlooking the crystalline spires of the Graxian capital city. What will you tell your leaders about us? Tarak asked.
The truth, Kim replied.
That we found a civilization different from our own, with much to teach us.
Reland's mandibles clicked in what the humans now recognized as amusement.
And we will report that humans are strange beings who accomplish with one ship what most would attempt with 100.
As twilight fell over the alien city, Captain Kim gazed upward to where the Pathfinder orbited invisibly above. One small ship had changed the course of 2 civilizations forever.
Sometimes, she said quietly, one is enough.
Admiral Tarak nodded slowly. The concept still felt foreign to him, yet undeniably true.
The aliens had waited for a fleet, but one human ship was all it took.